Today I'm making Lofthouse cookies. They're a frosted sugar cookie that's soft and absolutely delicious. So let's go ahead and get started. In a large bowl, add 1 cup of unsalted softened butter. So that's 2 sticks. Make sure it's butter and not margarine. And to that, add 1/4 cup of room temperature cream cheese and 1 cup of granulated sugar. Mix that together with your spatula at first just to incorporate it all a little bit. And then after you get it mixed a little, you can go ahead and use your hand mixer. Just start out on low speed. Mix that until the butter is light and fluffy and a little pale in color. After you've mixed that for 2 to 3 minutes, then go ahead and add in 1 egg and a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 3 tablespoons of light corn syrup. Now, if you don't have corn syrup, it's not absolutely necessary, so you can omit that if you want to. It does tend to make the cookies a little chewier. Adding the corn syrup also helps keep your cookies softer for a longer time. After you've mixed that thoroughly, just grab your spatula and run it along the sides and the bottom to make sure everything's fully incorporated. Now go ahead and add in 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And again, use your spatula to mix this around a little bit first. If you don't do that and you put your mixer in, you're going to be wearing more flour than is in the bowl. So just mix that with your spatula, then put your hand mixer in on low and just mix that until everything is very well combined. After you have all that combined, go ahead and run your spatula around everything again just to make sure you didn't leave any flour behind. Now place a large piece of parchment paper or plastic wrap on your work surface. Turn your dough out onto that and either fold the parchment paper over or the plastic wrap and just pat that down, making kind of a disc. And you're going to refrigerate this for at least 1 hour. After my dough chilled for about an hour, I separated it into 3 sections just to make it easier to work with. And if you find it's difficult to roll out, just leave it sit on your work surface for a few minutes. While you're cutting out your cookies, go ahead and let your oven be preheating to 350 degrees. I'm making heart-shaped cookies from a homemade cookie cutter. I made that out of aluminum foil and I just folded it over and over and then shaped it in the heart shape, and it works just fine. These are going to be pretty large cookies. I made the cookie cutter 4 inches by 4 inches. I baked these cookies for between 8 and 9 minutes. I took them out of the oven when the edges were just barely starting to turn a little brown. Because keep in mind, they will continue cooking as they cool, and these are supposed to be a soft cookie. So they may feel like they're not completely done to touch, but once they cool, they're completely done. And here's just another look at my homemade cookie cutter that worked out really well, actually. And like I said, it's 4 inches by 4 inches. Whatever you use to cut your cookies with, just make sure they're all basically the same size so they all bake evenly at the same amount of time. And now we're going to make the frosting for these cookies. In a large bowl, again, mix 2 sticks of softened unsalted butter and mix that for a couple minutes until it's just light and fluffy. Now add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 tablespoon of milk, any milk at all. It doesn't matter if it's 2% skim milk or whole milk. Mix that a little and then add in 4 1/2 cups of powdered sugar. And I started to sift this, and it was just taking so long that I just ended up pouring it into the bowl. It's fine. I mixed it until the frosting was just smooth and creamy. Keep in mind that you want to use a spatula to mix this a little bit at first and then use a mixer on low speed. I separated the frosting into two separate bowls, and in one I'm using a red food coloring, which will actually make it look pink, and in the other bowl I'm using blue. And I'm not going to use anything fancy to put this on the cookies. I'm just going to use a butter knife and spread that on. And that's going to be that. They're going to taste the same. They are delicious, and I do hope you give this recipe a try. For the pink frosting, I used a toothpick and dipped that into the gel food coloring twice. And for the blue frosting, I used 3 drops of blue food coloring. This is a great, easy activity to let the kids help you with. They love decorating cookies. And I didn't have any sprinkles, or I would have added those. I also like the cookies without any frosting at all, so I frosted some and left some plain. It's just totally optional. Also, I don't think I mentioned it before, but I rolled these out to between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick. They were closer to 1/4 inch thick. So when you bake these, just depends on the size you roll out. Just watch them carefully. And when they do start browning just a little tiny bit on the edges, you know they're ready to pull out of the oven. As always, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.